Hey there, Trailblazers, I hope you guys are all doing well. So, if you clicked on this video, then you're probably pretty curious about the upcoming banners coming to Honkai Star Rail and want to start planning out your Stellar Jades accordingly in order to pull for your favorite character, right? Well, you have definitely landed on the perfect video, because today we're going to go over the potential upcoming banners expected to arrive between version 4.3 and version 4.5, including both the brand new characters releasing in each patch, along with the rerun banners that are expected to appear alongside them. But first, let me ask you something. So, do you want to pull for characters like Ash Vale and Boot Hill, but finding in-game prices way too expensive? Well, have no fear. Today's sponsor Buff is the solution to all of your gacha spending needs. On Buff, you can buy in-game currency for all of your favorite gacha games for the cheapest available price, with safe and near-instant delivery. Buff doesn't just support Honkai Star Rail, but also other games such as Genshin Impact, Wuthering Waves, and Zenless Zone Zero. Just click on the link in the description, pinned comment, or scan the QR code on screen to get started today. Putting the sponsor aside, let me just give the usual disclaimer that everything discussed here is based on unofficial info as well as my own personal speculation. So nothing is officially confirmed yet, and things can still change before these updates actually release. With that out of the way, let's jump right into it without wasting any more of your time. Starting things off with version 4.3. Going by the recent drip marketing released by Hoyoverse. Phase 1 will feature the banner for Mordenax Blade, which is the brand new alternate version of Blade that was recently drip marketed. Mordenax Blade is now confirmed to be a fire element character that follows the path of nihility, which already makes him stand out quite a bit compared to his original version. From the early information currently circulating, Mordenax Blade appears to have a dual form playstyle built directly into his kit, where one form focuses more on dealing damage, while the other form shifts into a support-oriented role that provides buffs to the rest of the team. He's also rumored to have multiple ultimate states tied to those forms, which is honestly a pretty rare mechanic in Honkai Star Rail. If that design ends up functioning the way it currently sounds, then Mordenax Blade could end up being one of the most versatile characters released in this entire version cycle. Now moving into the second part of version 4.3, this is where things get even more interesting. Phase 2 is expected to feature the Fate Stay Night Part 2 collaboration banners, introducing two brand new playable characters from the Fate series, which are Gilgamesh and Rin Tosaka. Starting with Gilgamesh, he is expected to follow the path of destruction, which usually means strong offensive capabilities and high damage potential. And honestly, considering his character identity in the Fate series, a destruction role fits him extremely well. Characters on this path often specialize in dealing heavy damage across multiple targets, so if they stay true to his source material, there's a good chance that Gilgamesh ends up being a very aggressive damage dealer designed to overwhelm enemies with sheer offensive pressure. Then, on the other hand, we have Rin Tosaka, who is expected to follow the path of Harmony. And Harmony characters are typically known for providing powerful buffs that enhance the rest of the team. So based on that alone, Rin could end up functioning as a strong support unit that boosts damage output, improves team efficiency, or enables specific strategies, depending on how her kit is designed. As for the rerun banners in this update, I personally think both Cyrene and Phanon are going to rerun in this patch. Cyrene is one of those characters who tends to bring a lot of long-term value thanks to her supportive capabilities. Support characters like her usually age extremely well, especially as new DPS units are introduced that can benefit from her buffs. So if you missed her original banner and previous reruns, this rerun could easily be one of the better opportunities to pick her up. Then we have Phanon, who continues to remain a strong offensive unit with reliable damage output. For players who skipped him the first time around, this rerun gives another chance to grab a solid damage dealer who can handle a wide range of combat scenarios. So overall, version 4.3 looks like a very stacked patch, both in terms of new characters and reruns. Now, moving on into version 4.4. This patch appears to shift focus slightly, with the main highlight being the introduction of another alternate character variant. The new limited banner expected in version 4.4 is Himiko SP. And just like other SP characters that we've seen recently, this new version of Himiko will likely introduce an entirely new playstyle compared to her original version. Alternate variants usually experiment with new mechanics, new roles, or completely different gameplay identities, so it'll be really interesting to see what direction they take with her design. And considering how iconic Himiko is as a character, there's a very good chance that this version ends up being heavily featured in both gameplay and story content. Now, moving on into the RERUN banner lineup for this patch. The two most likely characters to get RERUN in this update are Sunday and Danhung Permancer. Although Sunday is already speculated to RERUN in patch 4.2, I think it's pretty likely that he'll RERUN again in this patch as well, due to both him and Danhung stated to be Himiko SP's best teammates at launch, along with Sunday rumored to be getting a Nova Flare buff in this patch as well. So, considering both buffed Sunday and Danhung will be involved in Himiko SP's best-in-slot team at launch, there is a very high chance that both units will get a RERUN during this patch. And finally, there is version 4.5. This is where things start to feel like a major payoff patch, because several of the characters expected here seem designed to complete team setups that were introduced earlier in patch 4.3 and 4.4. Starting with the new banner characters, the two main units expected here are Aventurin SP and Robin SP. And honestly, both of these characters make perfect sense when you look at how the earlier versions are structured. First, let's talk about Aventurin SP, because this is where things get especially interesting from a gameplay perspective. Based on the latest information, Aventurin SP is expected to function as an elation-focused DPS unit, meaning his primary role is going to revolve around dealing large amounts of damage, especially through follow-up attack mechanics. So rather than acting as a defensive support, he's likely going to be positioned as a core damage dealer, with much of the team's offensive pressure centered around him. And this is where Mordinac's blade becomes extremely important. Because based on newer information, Mordinac's blade is said to function as a support specifically designed to work well with Aventurin SP. So instead of just being a general damage dealer plus support, he may actually serve as one of the key enablers that helps maximize Aventurin SP's overall damage potential. And honestly, that kind of pairing makes a lot of sense. If Aventurin SP is acting as the primary damage source, then having Mordinac's blade backing him up as both a support and sub-DPS could allow that team to scale extremely well into late-game content. So if you're planning to pull for Aventurin SP in version 4.5, there's a very strong chance that Mordinac's blade, who arrives earlier in version 4.3, ends up being one of his most valuable teammates. Now next, let's talk about Robin SP, because she might end up being one of the biggest upgrades for players building around Himiko SP. Based on earlier team synergy information, Robin SP is expected to act as a replacement for Sunday in Himiko SP teams. So what this likely means is that Sunday works as the early support option during version 4.4, while Robin SP becomes the more optimized or premium version of that role once she releases in version 4.5. That kind of upgrade path happens pretty often, where one unit establishes the foundation of a team, and then a later unit pushes that team to its full potential. Now, when it comes to the reruns expected in version 4.5, the current roadmap still points toward Ashvale and Cypher being the most likely returning units. And honestly, this rerun timing makes a lot of sense. Ashvale rerunning alongside the release of Aventurin SP gives players another chance to experiment with high-damage team setups that revolve around powerful DPS-focused units. Even though newer information suggests Aventurin SP isn't strictly locked to him, having both characters available in the same patch still creates opportunities for players to test stronger combinations and optimize their builds. Then on the other side, we have Cypher, who could also play an important role depending on how buff-heavy or synergy-based teams continue evolving. Because if newer characters rely more on layered buffs or coordinated setups, rerunning Cypher at this stage gives players another strong option to help round out their team compositions. So that's basically everything we currently know about the upcoming banners coming to the game between version 4.3 and version 4.5. If you found this breakdown helpful, feel free to leave a like. And also don't forget to subscribe if you want to stay up to date with all the latest HSR news and updates. That's it for now, so I'll be seeing you guys in the next video.